Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're watching another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Your daily dose of geek news, reviews, and answers that you can use like an answer to the question, what did I think of this beer? I think it was awesome. I may have to go get more now that I've pretty much killed the entire beer in the bottle here. Not killed it outright. This is a part of the CPU video that we recorded today behind the scenes for all the patrons. Everybody else will get the full edited version. Full edited? Does that make sense? In the classic Chris Pirillo channel that I hope you're still subscribed to and getting notifications for. And then you may also be looking for an answer to the question, what is today? It is Friday the 13th. Right. Maybe you're looking for an answer to the question, Chris, why do you have a Darth Vader radio behind you? Because it's Radio Day. World Radio Day. And so I wanted to show this here. I do have a radio, believe it or not. It is a collectible radio, this Darth Vader radio. Still in box. I would say mint in box, MIB, also known as Men in Black. And Darth Vader is a man in black right there. It includes lights and sounds, LCD, volume control, FM band selector, and station turner dial. Right there. So I hope you are celebrating World Radio Day in some way, shape, or form. Radio's not dead. I'm not quite dead. No, well, radio might be for you, but I think it's going to be around for the long haul. Maybe only in terms of the way we take in audio content these days, much like podcasts. You may be listening to me right now on the podcast version of this particular show. We simulcast it live onto this YouTube channel. Maybe you're asking a question, Chris, why, if I saw something, why do you have something that looks like an eye on your hand? Well, you'll have to watch that CPU video. That also includes kind of a review of this beer when it's eventually published in about a week's time. So all questions will be answered. Like the question, Chris, when are you going to give away an Xbox One? I'm answering all these questions that nobody's really asking. These are, I'm going to get to the questions that people are asking. It's AMA. It's a Friday. We do AMA Friday. Patrons get the priority, the $5 on up patrons do. And then on Monday, then everybody else in the open Facebook AMA thread gets their questions answered if they're questions I haven't responded to before. Well, the answer to the question, are we giving away an Xbox One? Yes, we are, but here's the thing. It comes with Grand Theft Auto 5. Can you deal with that? It's free, the giveaway, obviously, hence it being a giveaway at deals.lockergnome.com. We also have Sesame 2 Auto Lock Keychain for Mac, 25% off, and the Mammoth Interactive Apple Watch App Builder course still at 89% off. Huge deal. Big deal. You want to learn how to code for the Apple Watch? You can. You can learn on your own. Sure, maybe you know how to program already. That's great. But yeah, if I were you, I may take advantage of this. You can learn. We're just trying to inch you forward. We're bringing you forward with a little bit of knowledge. And happy to facilitate that for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to the questions being asked. Brian H. This is a real question. Unlike the questions that were faux questions here. Says, hey, Chris, I'm thinking peripheral this week. All right. Right now, he's using a Razer Deathstalker keyboard and a Death Adder mouse, and I'm pretty pleased with the quality. I'm just wondering what your preferences are for peripheral devices. Do you like regular stock Apple keyboards or something else? How about mice? Well, is it mice or mouses? When you're talking about a computer mouse, Doug Engelbart, thank you very much. By the way, if you want to take a step down memory lane, there are videos out there with Doug Engelbart first demonstrating the mouse and also demonstrating the first graphical user interface. Just amazing stuff. So, I am happy with stock Apple stuff, but I've tried a variety in the past and more than willing, more than happy to try something else if it's better. And I've talked about the Apple keyboard outright, as I think I responded to a question a few weeks ago as a Q&A with you and me. I like the response. I like a battery life. I'm not a gamer. And if you're using Razer hardware, I assume you're gaming. So you have a different set of requirements than I do. I don't have those same requirements. And for me, I've steered towards, the stock products. They work fine for me. I'm happy with them. I don't want to make things any more complex than they need to be. And I've found that over time, going with a third party sometimes introduces too many problems than it's worth. Not saying that's a possibility or a chance for you, but it's just been my experience over time for a variety of platforms. I'm not just talking about Mac OS 10. So, or just OS 10, I guess is what they're calling it now. So, you know, you don't really see a lot of peripherals in my workshop anymore if you watch the vlogs, which of course we're publishing every day. And there's a few reasons for that. I've kind of slimmed down. As far as hardware is concerned, I'm a minimalist. And for me to say that, I know people are out there, you're a minimalist. What do you say? You got Vader crap all over the house. How can you call yourself a minimalist? Well, it's kind of like I quipped earlier on Twitter. I did this. Let me see if I'll grab one here. This is a good one. This little Batman Darth Vader mashup here. This was a custom. It's a custom figure. That was a gift to me from Jasmine and Slav. And see, it's Batman and Darth Vader mashed up. Really cool mashup. I said, my action figures don't need recharging. No tech support needed. You know what? It just sits there and looks awesome. That's it. I can pose it and take photos with it and just look at it and appreciate it. I don't look at my mouse or keyboard and appreciate it. I appreciate the design, but it's a tool to me, right? So, printers, I've pretty much all but eliminated them. I don't really need them on a regular basis, so why would I want them in this space? Just cluttering up the room. See, I mean, I look at things differently than most people do, or most people might, especially if you're, you know, someone in my community. I value this figure more than I do my printer, because this is never going to go out of date. This is never going to go out of style. This is never going to require electricity. This is never going to just be obsolete. It's just going to be awesome forever, and I love that about this action figure. So, peripherals in general, I kind of put into the category, do I need it? No, you know, this phone in many ways is a peripheral. I use this as a scanner. I have a fascination with apps that unlock various experiences. I'm very happy to use apps which transform this device into something that it wasn't before. So that's why I like software. I love software. Not really a good thing to collect, but I do love software. So I'm more interested in finding software solutions to something that used to take hardware to fix. If you've seen, here's another trip down memory lane, and I love doing this on Friday. I love getting nostalgic. People have posted these photos around where they've got a person standing in the middle, or maybe they don't have a person. They have a series of devices sitting on a table, like, oh, I've got it on the floor, like a radio and a scanner and a camera and a notepad and all these things that we used to have in order to do things with those things have been replaced with this device through software, through apps. So, because think about it. I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't have anything close to this. I remember having I wanted a camera so badly from Santa Claus, and he never delivered. You know what? Yeah, screw you. You're not getting another sip of my beer. I'm done with it anyway. Well, done with the bottle. Santa Claus never gave me a camera. No, he did. Santa Claus one year did bring a camera, a Polaroid Instamatic. And it was fun because you take a picture and it, you know, instantly comes out and you got the little thing. I think I may even have those, the photographs that I once took with my first Polaroid camera. And all those pieces of hardware have been replaced wholesale by one piece of hardware. And I'd rather support one piece of hardware, this thing, than a variety of things. Less is more. This is my scanner right here. This is my camera right here. This is my everything right here. And you know what? I am not the only one who does this. Not the only one. I want less hardware around me. The less I have, the happier I am. As far as hardware goes and computers go and peripherals go. Because they get out of date so fast. Now, the more Star Wars stuff I have, the happier I am. I'm just going to say that. It's a balance, you know. I'm bringing balance to the Force there with that response. Hopefully that answered your question. Mitchell C. McClendon asks, Chris, do you miss your Nexus? Your go-to Android device. Like you, I also cracked the screen on my Nexus 4 after dropping it several times. Well, I tell you what. Give me a second. Give me a moment. I'm very, very happy to have had a replacement Nexus device. Very, very happy as I walk off screen to grab one here. I keep it in the closet. Some people would showcase it, but much like my screwdrivers and hammers, my Android tablet is just a tool. So yeah, I still like the Nexus 7, certainly with the latest update on it. This is my go-to Android device, and I'm very, very happy with it. Did not upgrade to the 9 because of, well, number one, the price. Number two, what HTC did, like almost, I think it was like a day after, they like halved the price. I'm like, no, not going to do it. It may have a quote-unquote better hardware or a quote-unquote better experience, but it wasn't worth the upgrade to me. So I just did not move forward from my Nexus 7 here. So I don't miss it at all. I still have it. And I use it when I need to use it for an experience that I'm looking for on an Android device. Now, whether I'm talking about a smartphone or an outright tablet, for the most part, I want to make sure I'm getting a well-rounded series of experiences from a variety of platforms and manufacturers. But my Nexus 7 evolved into my go-to Android device for a lot of different reasons. Liz, and by the way, I gotta say, her handle's Pez Liz on Twitter. Do this for me. If you're listening to me right now, go ahead, just do this, please. If you do nothing else today, I don't care if you like this video. Well, I hope you do, but or podcast, or you share whatever it is that I've created. That's awesome. Send Liz your thoughts. That's all. I'm not gonna say why, but just know that she needs a little bit of she needs your thoughts. She's doing well. She's fine. It's just something's going on. I just want to make sure that you know that she's as much there for you as a part of our team as I am. So just send her your thoughts on Twitter. Her handle's @PezLiz. This was a question she had posted on the Patreon thread from Stuart Hayden. How has technology helped people connect all over the world, and what effect has it had on communities around the world? What is your opinion? Where do you think we'll be in, say, 10 years' time? Stuart, this is the kind. Let me have another sip of this very Imperial Stout. I feel bad. I wish I would have grabbed a second one. Because I want to keep these in bottle because I want to collect them. I've got other beers in the series. No spoilers. Watch the CPU, see? But I've got one that's unopened downstairs so it can be a part of the collection. I'm not going to put my used liquor bottles on display. What, do I look tacky?
Have caps on them.
These do. I opened this one. I drank this one. But what I'm saying is this beer was so good, I wish I had another one. Anyway. I like these types of questions. Technology, this is where I get excited. I remember sending my first email. I'll never forget it. I was so excited sending that email to a person who was sitting just right across the way from me in a computer lab. I mean, it was so close, like almost as close as we are, maybe twice the distance. And sending this electronic transmission, across this computer lab and realizing, it would take just as much time and just as much effort to communicate with someone who lived on the opposite side of the world. That was fascinating to me. Connecting with people that way was amazing. And I never really got into one singular news group back in the day with Usenet news groups. I never really got into one particular chat room. I enjoyed communicating with people. And I think what technology has done is closed so many gaps that for a long time existed because of physical boundaries and limitations. We no longer are restricted by those geophysical boundaries. And that's fascinating to me. Now, it gets really interesting when you start thinking through the possibilities of geopolitical boundaries dissolving. And I don't know if this is going to happen in my lifetime, maybe in my daughter Jedi's lifetime. Having an identity is just as central to being human as empathizing with others. And technology has the power and potential to dissolve those artificial walls. When we have the power to connect right now, wherever you are listening to the sound of my voice. Maybe you're seeing me, maybe you're just listening. You hear me. That is so insanely powerful and transformative to culture. Not just my culture, but potentially your culture as well. Instead of growing up where I was feeling like I may have been the only person who was interested in certain things, Garbage Pail Kids, or maybe stamp collecting at one time, Star Wars figures, or Lego stuff, whatever it happened to be. Although I didn't get into Lego as much as a kid. I believe it or not, I got more into Lego as an adult. No matter what it was, I was limited in terms of how I felt connected to others, because I couldn't connect with the other people who were like me. And technology closes those gaps and allows us to communicate directly, because that's what it's about, right? It's not just about identifying as yourself. It's identifying and feeling like you belong. And whether we're talking about race, religion, political leanings, hobbies, fascinations, passions, technology is best used when we have an opportunity to evolve our understanding of self and understanding our identity of self when it relates to others. That is absolutely fascinating to me. Technology can be transformative, but it isn't with Angry Birds. It isn't with this device for this device's sake. It's this device. Let's abstract it. Who cares what this device is? The fact that people who otherwise would not have a communications mechanism or a way to research or get access to information suddenly can. Knowledge is power. Access to information is the starting point. When you identify with other people, you are no longer alone. You're not alone now. The less you feel alone, for the most part, unless you may have some issues going on up here, and believe you may have met plenty of those people. Knowing that you're not alone and operating completely independent of everybody else, I think is empowering, if you let it be empowering. I want to connect with other people. It's always been one of the larger goals, to know that I could be happy about something and share my happiness with other people, and maybe bring happiness to other people that they didn't realize was in them or ready to be surfaced. Technology makes that possible. I didn't know it was possible. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grow up. Hell, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. All I know is that technology, as a tool, as a means to connect us to one another, can help propel us into a future that you and I, today, at the time of this recording live, we don't even know. We can't even imagine. That's what technology can do. That is fascinating to me. That is where I place the value of tech in a global society. And it's going to be rough, because as I kind of alluded to, I think the next challenge is going to be, how do we, once we realize and recognize that whether you live in another country, whether you live in another state, whether you live on the other side of the world, wherever you live, that we have more in common with each other than I do with my next door neighbor. That's powerful. That's the beauty of technology. That's why I appreciate it. That's why I love technology, for its power to connect. Where I've been hesitant to just throw my outright support behind certainly that aspect of society, is knowing that some people use technology to tear things apart, to ruin lives, to destroy lives, and for no good. So I understand this monster that needs to be tamed, but it's usually contingent on respect and control. And unless you have self-respect and self-control, we're never going to make it to that third stage. That third stage will remain elusive, but technology absolutely has the power to transform our condition, this human existence. It's a fascinating question. So, when we're talking about community, it's the same thing. You feel like you belong. Who doesn't want to feel like they belong? Do you want to feel like you belong? You may feel like you're the only person in the world who feels a certain way. You're not. As much as you think you're the only person, you're the only you. That is true. But you're not the only person who may be interested in one thing or another. You're not the only person who might be wanting to connect with other people. You have to make that effort. You got to know who you are before you can connect with other people. Because if you don't, the problem is well, you're going to run into problems. This is why I say don't get to know me for just one thing about me. I'm a human being. I'm a walking Venn diagram. You know, I've got a lot of interests and passions, and I've got so many roles that I take on: husband, man, adult, father, geek, nerd, fan, whatever label that I might put on me. So there are many layers to all of us, every single one of us. Community exists not in a website, not in a smartphone, not on a platform. Community exists in you. And wherever you go, that's where community follows. Keep that in mind. Community has nothing to do with technology at all. Nothing. Zero. Bupkis. Nothing. It's in you. Because if it ain't in you, community doesn't exist. Okay, so it spoke to that. Boy, it really spoke to that there. I'm full of all sorts of nerd rage today. The Q&A with you and me today was of talking about upgrading from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10. I'm not gonna have an Imperial Stout every day, but man, I kind of get going. I get charged up. My filter, not that I had one to begin with, but it's kind of like, screw it. I'm just gonna say it. Nerd rage. I'm nerd raging over this damn squeaky chair. I can't find the source of this damn squeak. I think I'm ready for an upgrade. I need a new chair. Paul Baldook asks, so I was using feature points and then it suddenly stopped working. Oh, okay. Paul, I'm not going to read the rest of your question. I'm going to send that on to the people that I know over at Feature Points. I've talked about Feature Points. I teased my personal link with a referral code that gets you more points. Go.tagjag.com/free points. Use that link. I've talked about it a billion times to the point where people make fun of me for it. But you know what? I've earned a lot of people a lot of free stuff there. I will pass that note along, Paul. Tommy NC 2010, who just told me he's going to be on a TV show, another TV show, because he was on MTV's Made a while back. Tommy, I don't know if I can announce anything. I don't want to say anything about that, but it's pretty cool. He says, hey, Chris, do you think Darth Vader was a wrestler in the WWE? Do you think he would last? Oh, yeah, of course. Vader, he could battle, like that with a lightsaber, but he could also force choke. He had the power of the Force. What other wrestler do you know could bring someone to their knees by doing this? To me, that makes Vader a WWE champion right there. He can do this. Well, not as fast, but he can just, do this and choke the person. That's powerful, man. I've tried this in the past, but it never works. The Force is not strong in my family. Have you ever done that in public? Someone does something stupid and just go... They might laugh and like, you like Star Wars too? Yeah, oh, yeah. You should follow me on Facebook. Just friend me. Send me a request. Edward Middleton asks, 2 years ago, I've seen Martin Scorsese's... Damn, this is really good. Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver and James Cameron's Avatar for the first time. I'm pushing through this. For the first time. Another movie I haven't seen was recently talked about by my coworker, was called The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman. I was wondering, what movies have you not seen? I have not seen Taxi Driver or The Graduate. I've seen bits and pieces. And much like with The Godfather, not having seen those movies, I feel stunted my ability to understand pop culture because so many references would just fly straight over my head. So those are the types of movies that you have to see. You have to see. Like, what's the one? Al Pacino, say hello to my little friend. Not Scarface. What was it? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Maybe I need more. What was that? Say hello to my little friend. He was all coked out. Thanks, Dad. The bastion of pop culture over there. Well, I'm still thinking of The Graduate. You gotta know enough. And I put those types of movies in that category. It'll come to me. That movie will come to me before the end of this video, I hope. If not, I'm sure people are going to lambast me in comments. How could you not remember the movie that wasn't called Scarface? I swear it wasn't called Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. And then I think it was a Tommy gun. He starts spraying the restaurant or whatever the hell it was. I remember it was Al Pacino. And blanking on the movie. Holy jeez! My God! He, I'm scrolling up to stop. Tony, he wrote an essay. I'm serious. I'm like, he wrote an essay. He wrote a lot. I don't know if I can cover it all. Question 18. Regarding Apple's refinement in UI and UX, do you believe that Apple is now more focused about the bottom line? Do you think that as long as Apple achieves a fine balance between profit margin and customer satisfaction in a B level in both, they may consider it to be most cost effective? I think Apple knows they've been slipping up, and I think they're compensating for it. I think with the array of complaints that have come from who I would consider the alphas, I think that it was beyond a canary in the coal mine. They realized that they were falling short and they needed to redo their processes. I think Tim Cook has come through and delivered something that nobody would have expected, certainly from Tim or Apple in general, certainly not with Steve Jobs at the helm. Oh, I guess it was Scarface. Liz just texted me. Same Pez Liz. Although it was autocorrect, so it came across as Scarf Ace. Not Scarface, Scarf Ace. So I was right. This beer is better than I thought, and I thought it was good to begin with. I think Apple realizes a lot of its shortcomings, and they will not continue to quote-unquote win if certain parts of their process fall short. And I pray that OS 10.11, whatever, or what has used. Right now we're on 10.10 Yosemite, OS 10.10.10. So OS 10.10.11. Oh, they need to come up with a different scheme at this point. I think if they do with that what is alleged that they're going to be doing with iOS 9, they're going the right direction. What they have works well enough, but well enough does not match Apple's ethos. It does not match expectations from a marketplace. It does not match expectations from alpha apples. Apple supporting alphas. Alphas. No, I was trying to make an amalgamation of the two words and it didn't work. I need more. That's probably what the problem is. So, if the rumor is true, then I know that Apple realizes it needs to step up its game. That's a pretty big deal. I'm not the only person who is frustrated with Apple's lack of refinement in certain areas, specifically software, generally services. And they're entering into a new era. And just as Microsoft kind of lost the ball a few years ago, same thing can happen to Apple easily enough unless they double down and do what needs to be done to make sure they can be around in 5 years' time. No company is so big, no company is so smart that they can outlast anything and everything. Radio Shack was around for 90 years? Look what happened. Talked about Radio Shack at length in a Q&A yesterday or the day before, I'm not sure. Question number 19. Let's say that 3D printing, I'm looking at the time right now because I'm not sure if I'm going to have a lot of time left for, the remainder of the questions. That may have to get pushed off to Monday's AMA. Get back. I'm sorry. Did not mean to skip your question there. Let's say that 3D printing is now at a level that you can seriously consider purchasing the hardware and you finally do pull the trigger. What is your primary reason on actually wanting such a device? Also, if you were able to recreate 3D figures of Darth Vader or Lego minifigures that were considerably more detailed and articulated than products on the market, what would happen to your Vader Lego minifigure collecting hobby? So, I'm there. I'm ready to get a 3D printer. I've been DMing, messaging Jerry, aka Barnacle Nerdgasm, to try to get a better idea of where I want to start with this stuff because and I've asked him a couple of times, but I really haven't gotten a definitive response. So maybe I need to be more specific in terms of how I ask the question. He's my go-to guy, no doubt about it, and I think that I'm ready, if only because I want to take something that's a 3D model that exists on a screen and turn it into something physical. I'm going to go ahead and reach over and get my objet d'art. How do they say it in French? Objet d'art. I don't know French. Neither does my dad. Jerry printed this for me right here. I love it. This is like one of my favorite things in my entire collection. Because it's not that it was replicated from a design, it's the fact that Jerry made it for me. So that's why I love it. That's why I appreciate it. That's why it is forever a part of my collection. 10 years from now, the resolution of 3D printed objects are going to be vastly superior. Hey, Dad, I don't have. Can you hand me the gold Buddha Vader over there? This is something I talked about. Actually, I got to ask Liz because I need to let the guy know. Look up, hot, warm. There you go. I got to let the artist know that I featured it in TLDR, but I can't remember which TLDR we talked about it. I bought these on Etsy, but this is kind of neat. This shows up a little better. This gold Buddha Vader than the black Darth Vader. It's fun. It's interesting. Is it collectible? To a lesser degree because it's replicated. I think just experimenting and trying things and knowing that I have that as a tool in my stable of tools, I think is it's nice. It's nice, and then I'll be exploring possibilities of things that I might do, and then of course when Jedi's of age, to be able to show her that she can manipulate objects on screen and then suddenly press a button and then it can be printed out, I think that is transformative. I think that is a huge step forward. So I'm ready for 3D printing. I just haven't found the right 3D printer. Does that make sense? I bought the 3D Doodler years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. We featured it in a Pirillo Pix, one of the last Pirillo Pix that I think we did before it got rebooted into CPU. So this is fun. It's interesting. It's fascinating. But there's something to be said about officially licensed products. These are going to be far more valuable from a collector's standpoint. Probably more valuable if it was, still in the package. Today is. I'm sorry, I brushed the mic there. The 13th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta make sure I get my numbers in there right. There, look at that. Oh, February 13th. This is collectible. This could potentially at some point be 3D printed this way. I doubt it. But just because you replicate an object does not necessarily bring value to it. So, for years, diamonds and gems have been replicated, printed. And I think that's going to transform the gem industry for good reason. I think there's a lot of, what do they call them? Blood diamonds. A lot of issues with the way humans are treated to mine those diamonds that I think, we're ready to move past that point. And if technology can bring us to the point where we can accelerate the process at which carbon is compressed down into a gem, I'm all for it. Does that make the diamonds that we've had any more or less valuable? Not from a sentiment standpoint. So, part of it's sentiment, part of it's collectability, part of it's knowing that's officially licensed. I don't think I would stop. Lego's got a very high standard. The Lego group's got a very high standard in terms of quality control. Same thing. I would say the same thing with Hasbro, although I'll tell you, Hasbro in recent years has just been slipping and slipping and slipping, and I'm not the only collector who says that about Hasbro. I think Hasbro's kind of lost their way, which is really depressing. Really depressing. Maybe they'll get their head screwed on straight with the release of the new movies. 2 more questions here. Adam Toms, in the spirit of Friday the 13th, did you have any superstitions? Also, hi to all. I do not have any superstitions. I probably did at one point, but now it's just another day to me. Liz points this from MK, this question. Have you ever thought about making your own beer at home? My friend Justin does, and he does an amazing job with it. Maybe at some point I will, but it's just as easy for me to buy a beer. Maybe. If I can find the right maker. And I know they even have these kits that look clean and look nice. You press a couple of buttons. But then again, I know, it took me years in going through coffee machines, making coffee at home, spending so much money on coffee machines, really wasting money, only to find out that the best coffee I've ever made at home came courtesy of a $25 product, this AeroPress. And love it. Love the AeroPress. Love it, love it, love it. Very few other gadgets that I love because I use it every freaking day. So if I could find a beer maker, whatever you would call the equipment, if it was affordable enough, if it was easy enough, sure, I could probably geek out and start making my own beer at home. Possibly. Right now, it's kind of on the horizon, like 3D printing. I put beer in the same category as 3D printing. Beer making in the same category as 3D printing. So I'm still looking for the right equipment, and then I leap in when I see the right equipment. I know I could do something easily. I could easily do something like this. print something like this if I had the model for it. But it's just not there for me yet. I want it to be. I really, really, really do. I mean, that's that part of me that wants. I talked earlier in this broadcast about how I've been trying to slim down in terms of the types of tools that I would want to use or would want to support. I just haven't found a 3D printer that I think is worth the money yet, because spending $1,000 on something that you may or may not use or may not be usable or that introduces an array of frustration. Like, dude, you know what? I download an app for free and try it for 30 seconds, and if it sucks, I delete it and never use it again. So I don't want to spend $100 on a 3D printer only to find out this was the worst experience I've ever had in my entire life. No, I'm done. It's not ready. So, still waiting for usability to catch up. 5 years, I'd hope. 10 years, I would definitely hope. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. Always looking for recommendations. Always looking for experiences. Thank you for continuing to tune in, ask questions, and interact. I'm going to roll into the patron hangout we do every weekday. It's pretty much just a behind the scenes with me. More questions get answered. The top of my head gets seen as I'm working on other things around here and kind of talking about what I'm doing. So thank you for tuning in and supporting in whatever way you can at this point. I do love you. I appreciate you. But at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. I'm so tired of the squeaking chair.